Officer Emily thought it was just another quiet morning in Willow Creek. But when a trembling dog stepped onto the road, rose on its hind legs, and pressed its paws together, as if praying, everything changed. What followed was not just a rescue, but a lesson in faith, loyalty, and the unspoken bond between man and animal. The late morning sun rose over Willow Creek, painting the quiet town in gold. The streets were empty except for a few scattered cars, a flicker of dust dancing in the light. Officer Emily Carter drove slowly through the familiar back roads, the hum of her patrol car blending with the distant chirping of birds. It was supposed to be another quiet shift, just routine checks, small talk with the locals, maybe helping an old farmer move a stubborn cow off the road. Willow Creek was that kind of place, where time slowed and people still waved at passing cars. Emily had been on the force for 10 years now, but deep down, she still carried the weight of things she'd seen elsewhere. Darker places, bigger cities, moments that stayed like scars under the skin. She joined Willow Creek's police department not for excitement, but for peace. But peace has a way of breaking when you least expect it. She was halfway down Millstone Road when something darted across the path. A blur of motion, fast, trembling, desperate. Emily slammed the brakes. Gravel sprayed under the tires as the cruiser came to a stop. At first she thought it was a coyote, but then she saw it clearly. A dog, thin, ribs showing through the patchy fur, trembling from exhaustion. Its fur was mostly tan, matted with dirt, and its eyes, God, those eyes, they weren't just scared, they were pleading. Emily lowered her window. "Hey, buddy, it's okay, I'm not gonna hurt you." The dog froze, panting, tail low. Then, something happened that made Emily's breath catch. The dog rose shakily on its hind legs. With effort, it brought its two front paws together, pressed them tight, like hands in prayer. Emily blinked. What are you doing?" The dog whimpered softly. It repeated the gesture, then took a few steps back, turned, and looked over its shoulder, as if asking her to follow. For a second, Emily thought her mind was playing tricks. But there was something real in that look. Fear, desperation, hope. The kind of look that pulls you out of reason and straight into instinct. She parked the cruiser to the side of the road, grabbed her medical kit, and stepped out. "All right, boy, show me." The dog barked once, sharp, urgent, then bolted down a dirt path that led between the trees. Emily followed, boots crunching on dry leaves, the air thick with dust and pine. The dog would run ahead, then stop, glance back, and whine until Emily caught up. After a few minutes, they reached a clearing at the edge of a field, and Emily's stomach twisted at what she saw. An old wooden shed had collapsed into itself. Boards splintered and roof caved in. The smell hit her before she even got close. Bitter, chemical, like something toxic in the air. And then she saw her. A female dog lying half in the shadow, half in the sun. Her body was still, chest heaving weakly, foam streaked her mouth. Emily dropped to her knees beside her. Oh no. The male, the one who had led her, whined and circled her. Then he did it again. He stood up on his hind legs and pressed his paws together, looking straight at Emily. Like he was praying, Emily's heart clenched. "You brought me here for her, didn't you?" she whispered. There was no time to think. She opened her kit, pulled out a small bottle of clean water, and gently poured some onto her muzzle. Her tongue flicked weakly. Her pulse, faint but still there. "She's been poisoned," Emily murmured. Probably antifreeze or bait left out for pests. Something cruel, careless. She'd seen it before, but rarely had she seen another animal understand what was happening like this one did. She radioed for backup. Veterinary support, fast, but she knew they were at least 15 minutes out. Too long. She looked at the male again. "Stay back, boy, I need space." But the dog didn't move away. He just sat, head bowed as if praying beside her. Emily took a syringe of emergency antidote from her kit, something she carried for cases exactly like this. Her hands were steady, but her heartbeat was wild. She found a vein and pressed the plunger slowly, whispering under her breath, "Come on, sweetheart, stay with me." Minutes passed. The female twitched, gasped once, then again. Her eyes fluttered open. Emily exhaled, trembling. "That's it. Good girl. You're safe now." The male barked, not in alarm, but joy. He nuzzled her, tail wagging furiously, licking her face with relief. When the veterinary team finally arrived, the female was still weak but breathing stronger. They lifted her onto a stretcher, wrapping her gently in a blanket. The male refused to be left behind. He followed step for step, eyes locked on her, never barking, never fighting, just staying. Emily followed in her cruiser all the way to the Willow Creek Animal Clinic. She didn't know why, but she couldn't just drive off. Something about that prayer, that silent plea, had etched itself into her. At the clinic, the female was taken into intensive care. The vets worked tirelessly. Fluids, medications, warm blankets. The male sat outside her kennel the entire time. Refused food, refused rest. He didn't bark once. He just lay there, watching her, breathing softly against the metal bars. Emily visited that evening. "Hey, buddy," she said quietly, kneeling beside him. "You did good today." The dog turned his head and pressed it against Emily's knee. That simple gesture, silent gratitude, was enough to undo every wall Emily had built over the years. She'd seen loyalty before. But this was faith in its purest form. Days turned into weeks. Emily started visiting the clinic every morning before her shift and every evening after. The staff joked that the dogs weren't the only ones being healed there. She learned their names from the tags the clinic gave them. The male was called Spirit, and the female, Grace. Someone on staff said it fit perfectly. Grace grew stronger with each passing day. Her fur began to shine again, her appetite returned, and her eyes, once dull and distant, began to sparkle with life. Spirit never left her side. He watched her eat, slept beside her kennel, and barked softly when she stirred from bad dreams. And through it all, Emily kept coming back, sometimes with treats, sometimes just to sit quietly and talk to them. She told them about her husband who'd passed years ago, about the little house on the hill that felt too big for one person, about the silence that lingered long after the world went to sleep. And every time Spirit listened, head tilted, eyes steady, as if he understood. One morning, the vet smiled as Emily walked in. "You're just in time," she said. "Grace is ready." Emily blinked. "Ready for what?" The vet opened the kennel door. Grace stepped out, shaky at first, then surer. Spirit immediately went to her, pressing his forehead against hers, tail sweeping the floor. Emily felt something sting her eyes. The vet nodded. "She's made a full recovery. They'll need a home soon, preferably together." Emily crouched down, scratching Spirit behind the ear. "You hear that, buddy? Together." Spirit looked up at her, then did something that caught everyone off guard. He stood again on his hind legs, pressed his front paws together. "A prayer." Emily smiled through a tear. "Yeah," she whispered. "I get it. You're saying thank you." A few days later, paperwork signed, gates opened, and sunlight flooded the clinic yard. Grace stepped out first, tail wagging slowly. Spirit followed close behind. For a moment, they just stood there, sniffing the breeze, feeling freedom again. Emily stood a few steps away, hands in her pockets, trying not to look too emotional. "Go on," she said softly. "The world's yours again." Spirit looked at her, really looked, and Emily could swear there was something human in those eyes. Then, for one last time, Spirit stood tall on his hind legs, pressed his paws together. No words were needed. Emily nodded, voice breaking. "You're welcome." The two dogs trotted off into the sunlit field, side by side, free, alive. Emily watched until they were just silhouettes against the horizon. And though part of her ached to call them back, she knew they were exactly where they belonged. Weeks later, on a quiet evening shift, Emily parked near that same dirt road where it all began. The sun was setting, the fields glowing orange and gold. She thought about everything, how one small act of compassion could ripple so far, how two animals had reminded her what faith really looked like. She got out of the car, leaned against the hood, and looked at the open sky. Somewhere out there, Spirit and Grace were living their second chance. And maybe, just maybe, she'd found her own. She whispered into the breeze. "Thank you for calling me that day." The wind rustled through the trees almost like an answer. Some stories don't need miracles to feel divine. Sometimes all it takes is a desperate heart asking for help, and someone willing to listen. In that forgotten corner of Willow Creek, a dog once prayed, and a woman answered. and because of that, both were saved. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can change two lives forever. Officer Emily Carter didn't just save a dog. She reminded us what it means to be human. If you believe compassion still matters, tap subscribe and stay with us for more real stories that heal hearts and inspire souls. Because every view, every share keeps hope alive.